Hi guys, it's Mr. Jackson here with Edgar to read chapter 37 of Everwild by Neal Shusterman with permission from Simon and Schuster. Chapter 37, Sky Refugees. Johnny O sat facing Charlie in the starboard promenade of the Hindenburg, a bucket of coins between them. "You go first," said Johnny O. "No, you go first," echoed Charlie. "No, you go first." "No, you!" How they got here was a mixture of failure, triumph, and luck. While Mary Hightower had made her way to Graceland for her momentous meeting with the chocolate ogre, her children attacked the train. Johnny O took charge, ready for the fight. "Bring 'em down or push 'em down," he told the army. An enemy that couldn't be captured would be sent to the center of the earth. Then he went out into the battle, swinging his heavy fists. Charlie, who was not much of a fighter, followed behind him, carrying the bucket of coins and wearing a gardening glove on his hand to protect himself from the coins' power. Maybe Nick wanted to give these kids a choice, but Johnny O and Charlie were determined to send as many of them as possible into the light, whether they liked it or not. Johnny O grabbed one afterlight after another, dragging them to Charlie, who would put a coin into their palms and forced their fist closed around it. They all had the same reaction, a look of terrified surprise that was quickly replaced by an expression of utter peace before they disappeared in a twinkling of light. Johnny O didn't like the peace part. There was no satisfaction for him in making his enemies content, but as long as they vanished from his sight, he didn't complain. 10 minutes into the battle, however, Johnny O began to worry. Mary's children just kept coming, and soon it became clear to Johnny O what their objective was: the train. "Keep 'em back," he ordered. "Don't let them near the train." But there were simply too many of them. Johnny O and Charlie had dispatched at least 50 or 60 with coins, but there were hundreds more. The Sky Witch had tricked them. "Take coins," he told the others. "Everyone take coins and put them into their hands. Do it." But that backfired miserably, because every kid who grabbed a coin from the bucket couldn't resist the urge to grasp the coin themselves and vanish. They were losing more of their own than the enemy. It was over in less than 20 minutes. Their entire fighting force was backed up against the train, hands in the air, and the train itself had been captured. It took 4 afterlights to hold Johnny O down. Then, as he struggled to break free, he felt a drop of water on his forehead, then another, then another. And when he looked up, he saw a wet kid in a wetter bathing suit looking down at him. Water dripped into Johnny O's eyes from a little silver key dangling around the kid's neck. "The sniffer told us all about you, Johnny O," the wet kid said. "Mary was even looking for a punching bag to give you something to do until the end of time, but she never did find one. Guess you'll just have to shadow box." Which was a nasty thing to say, since afterlights didn't cast shadows. Johnny O wasn't about to be defeated by a kid in a bathing suit, so he fought himself free from the afterlights holding him. "Dry up," he told the wet kid, which was an equally nasty thing to say because he couldn't. Then Johnny O pushed him out of the way and ran to Charlie, who was sitting on the bucket of coins, hands behind his head, and surrounded by a cluster of Mary's kids. Johnny-O pushed his way in, pulled Charlie up, and grabbed the bucket, swinging it like a weapon. "Come on," he said to Charlie, and they both ran. Mary's forces had captured the Chocolate Ogre's army, and they had taken his train, but there was still one more means of transportation available for someone with the nerve to take it. The Hindenburg was not too difficult to find. It was taller than anything around it. There were still dozens of Mary's afterlights holding it down with ropes, keeping it from being torn away by the brutal wind. "There's a whole bunch of them, and only 2 of us," Charlie said. "I don't like those odds." But Johnny-O realized something Charlie didn't. These afterlights couldn't fight, because they already had their hands full. If it took this many of them to hold the airship down, how many would it have to be taken off the job until the ship would tear free? They wasted no time. Johnny-O pulled them from the ropes, and Charlie slapped coins into their hand, one after another. They had dispatched more than 10 of them by the time the others figured out what was happening. They all panicked and began to let go of the ropes. The airship began to lurch. "Let's go," Johnny-O said. They raced towards the Hindenburg. The ramp was dragging across the ground, beginning to rise into the air. They leapt on and pulled themselves inside. The airship's nose lifted higher as it caught more of the ever-lost wind. Some afterlights still dangled from the ropes, but they had the good sense to let go, and the Zeppelin took to the sky, twisting and turning out of control, at the mercy of the wind. It was just 2 of them in the giant craft. They hadn't been able to save the train or Nick's army, but at least they saved the bucket of coins. "Can you fly this thing?" Johnny-O asked Charlie. "No," he answered, "but I got plenty of time to learn, don't you think?" They fumbled their way through the corridors and finally finding the bridge, and that's when they realized there was a problem. There was a bar across the door, and that bar was held in place by a huge padlock. "Where's the key?" asked Charlie. "There's got to be a key." Johnny-O knew exactly where the key was, because he had seen it dangling above his face, dripping water into his eye. "Do you think we could break it?" asked Charlie. "Those fists of yours can do it, right?" And although Johnny-O tried, he knew it was no use. This was an ever-lost door and an ever-lost padlock. Once something crossed into Everlost, it didn't break ever. The airship rose into the clouds, slowly spinning like a weather vane as it blew eastward. "This was a bad idea," said Charlie. "Shut up," said Johnny-O. "Just shut up." So now Johnny-O sat facing Charlie in the starboard promenade of the Hindenburg, a bucket of coins between them. "You go first," said Johnny-O. "No, you go first," echoed Charlie. "No, you go first." "No, you." But neither one was willing to take a coin. Instead, they both stared at each other as the Hindenburg drifted across the sky, each wondering who would be the first to blink. Ooh, that was an exciting chapter. We haven't gotten a chance to hang out with Johnny-O and Charlie in a while, so that was kind of neat to see what was going on with them. So, in this, we see a lot of kids sort of being forced to take their coins. We don't know exactly what happens after you take a coin, but we know that the coins send afterlights into the light, and they move on. And we're told that they all get this really, really peaceful look, and they're happy about moving on. Even if they don't want to take a coin at first, once they take the coin and move on, they get this peaceful look in their face. So, I'm wondering what we think about that. What is this fair that Johnny O and Charlie are forcing kids to take their coins, even though we know that it's something that they're happy to do once they're forced to do it? Is that fair or ethical to Edgar? Is that fair or ethical that they're doing that? On the one hand, like, the kids are supposed to have coins of their own, and the coins have been taken from them. So on the one hand, some of these kids might have been searching for coins for a long time. But on the other hand, they're not choosing this for themselves. So I'm really wondering what you think about that. It's kind of dicey. And then also Johnny O and Charlie. Johnny O, we more hear about Johnny O, but Johnny O is very scared to take the coin. And then Charlie is too, because they're arguing about it at the beginning and end of the chapter. They know that they're kind of stuck in this ship and they have no way of steering it. So they kind of feel like maybe moving on is the right choice, but they're both really, really scared to do it. So I'm wondering why you think they're scared, and how you think they might feel. Anyway, that was a pretty short chapter, but it was pretty good. I think we've got, like, probably only... Well, the chapters get short from here, but we have, like, maybe 3 or 4 chapters left, and then we're done with the book. Anyway. Hope you all had a good day. If you're watching this live, today was Thanksgiving, so I'm hoping you had a good time with your families if you celebrated, and wondering what you're thankful for. Looking forward to finishing this book with you guys, and I'm thankful for all of you. So until next time.